The weight of the cosmos pressed down on Anansi, a burden far heavier than any harvested yam or hunted antelope. He was a god now, a celestial being thrust into a swirling galaxy of political intrigue and cosmic battles, a reality a million miles away from the familiar rhythms of his Dogon village on the blue planet. His ascension, while prophesied, felt less like a triumphant coronation and more like a terrifying abduction. The vibrant colors of his home, the comforting scent of the earth after the rain, the laughter of his children. These were memories now, fading echoes in the sterile gleam of the intergalactic council chambers. His new power was intoxicating, a terrifying symphony of energy coursing through his veins, granting him abilities beyond comprehension. He could manipulate starlight, bend space-time with a thought, and communicate across vast distances. But the sheer magnitude of it all felt like a cage rather than a liberation. The simple act of breathing seemed to resonate with the cosmic hum of the universe, a constant reminder of his elevated and isolating status. The gods of this galactic pantheon were not the benevolent, all-knowing beings he'd envisioned. They were beings of immense power, their actions often guided by self-interest and ambition. Their culture, a stark contrast to the communal spirit of the Dogon, was a complex tapestry of shifting alliances, betrayals, and a ruthless pursuit of power. The Celestial Court, where he now held a seat, was a breathtaking spectacle of alien architecture and otherworldly beings, but it was also a battleground of whispered conspiracies and open warfare. Anansi's attempts to adapt were clumsy, his attempts to understand the complex protocols and power plays of the galactic elite often falling flat. His inherent Dogon values, his emphasis on community, shared responsibility, and respect for nature, clashed harshly with the individualistic ambitions and the casual disregard for planetary ecosystems shown by many of his fellow gods. He found himself constantly struggling to reconcile his heritage with his new reality, a conflict that often left him feeling isolated and alone. He missed the earthy wisdom of the elders, the soothing rhythm of tribal chants, the comforting weight of his family in his arms. He longed for the simple act of planting seeds and watching them grow, for the thrill of the hunt, for the shared stories under the starlit sky. Here, surrounded by beings of almost unimaginable power, he felt diminished, a stranger in a strange land, his power a source of both wonder and agonizing responsibility. His celestial form, magnificent yet alien, felt like a costume he could never truly inhabit. One of the most jarring differences was the concept of ownership and territory. The gods of this galaxy viewed planets and star systems as possessions, their borders marked by fierce rivalries and skirmishes for resources. Anansi, raised with a deep respect for the earth and its bounty, found this attitude abhorrent. His Dogon heritage taught him that the earth was a shared resource, a gift to be cherished and protected, not a commodity to be exploited. This fundamental conflict of values often put him at odds with his fellow gods. He frequently found himself arguing for diplomacy and conservation, concepts often ridiculed or disregarded as naive. His first significant encounter with this stark contrast was during a meeting concerning the exploitation of a newly discovered planet, rich in a rare element crucial for advanced technology. Most of the gods were eager to stake their claim, ready to unleash their armies and conquer the planet for its resources. Anansi, however, argued for a more sustainable approach. He spoke of the planet's unique ecosystem, the potential for new discoveries, the inherent value of preserving the biodiversity of an unspoiled world. His words were met with a mixture of bewilderment, derision, and even outright hostility. He was viewed as a sentimental fool, a primitive outsider clinging to outdated ideals. But Anansi persevered, his voice growing stronger with each disagreement. He utilized his newfound abilities not for conquest, but for protection, using his powers to shield the planet from exploitation, to subtly guide the development of sustainable technologies that harnessed the planet's resources without destroying its fragile environment. His actions created a wave of both opposition and respect. Some of the younger, less entrenched gods were drawn to his compassionate approach, seeing a glimmer of hope in his unique brand of divinity. His attempts at diplomacy, however, often led to political maneuvering and subtle acts of sabotage. Anansi quickly learned that even amongst gods, betrayal was a constant threat. Some saw his efforts to create a balance between the needs of the galaxy and the preservation of individual planets as a threat to their existing power structures. Secret alliances were formed, conspiracies hatched, and Anansi found himself fighting not just for planetary preservation, but for his own survival within the intricate webs of galactic politics. He understood, in a way he hadn't previously, the true meaning of the prophecy. It was not merely about his ascension, but about the struggle to reconcile two vastly different worlds, two fundamentally opposing philosophies. The weight of the cosmos had indeed fallen upon him, but so had the mantle of a powerful protector, a champion for a gentler, more harmonious cosmos. The clashes weren't always subtle. Anansi found himself participating in interstellar conflicts, facing down fleets of warships and monstrous alien creatures with a blend of celestial power and Dogon cunning. His battles were less about brute force and more about strategic brilliance, using his understanding of his enemy's weaknesses and his own unique abilities to turn the tide of battle. He fought with a deep sense of justice and responsibility, protecting the innocent and defending the vulnerable, even as he navigated the treacherous currents of galactic politics. His very existence was a challenge to the established order. He was a Nubian farmer, a humble father, a man who found himself at the center of a cosmic conflict. But the very simplicity of his origins, his deep connection to the earth and his people, gave him a strength and an understanding that his fellow gods often lacked. He brought a fresh perspective, a different value system to a civilization obsessed with power and self-aggrandizement. His journey was far from over, but he was beginning to carve his own path, a path that honored both his ancestral heritage and his newfound, daunting destiny. The cosmos, it seemed, was ready for a change.